Have you ever had that feeling like, life just doesn't make sense? And I'm not talking about just having a bad day, like a deep down feeling that the whole thing is kind of pointless.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling. It can be pretty unsettling.
It really is. And that's kind of the headspace we're going to be exploring today.
Okay.
So we've been diving deep into this, honestly, pretty intense YouTube video
Right.
from this channel called Psychotic. And the title is, get this, Life is a Mistake and the Only End is Death. Philip Mainlander.
Wow, that's a pretty heavy title.
Seriously, I mean, just to warn you, this is not exactly light listening, you know?
Yeah, I get that. The title itself kind of sets you up for a pretty bleak outlook.
It really does. It's not going to sugarcoat anything. In fact, the video actually starts with this statement. It says, what you are about to hear is not meant to please you, nor to comfort you.
Huh. So they're not pulling any punches, are they?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what are we getting into here?
So our goal today is to try and unpack the core ideas from this video.
All right, I'm interested to hear this.
So buckle up, because we're about to wrestle with this, honestly, pretty out there concept. What if life is a fundamental, cosmic, irreversible error?
A cosmic error, huh?
I know, right? It's a lot to process. But the video throws out this wild idea, like, what if existence isn't part of some grand plan? What if it's more like an echo, like a leftover hum from something that maybe chose to unexist itself?
Okay, so you're saying instead of a grand design, it's like the aftermath of something else entirely.
Exactly. And get this, the video even hints that this something could have been, well, God.
So God choosing to not exist anymore.
Right. Like, imagine if the very foundation of reality wasn't creation, but like this self-inflicted cosmic uncreation. It just flips everything on its head, doesn't it?
It definitely makes you think about existence in a whole new way. If it's not a deliberate creation, but more like a residual effect.
Exactly. Like we're just this cosmic accident, this aftershock of something ceasing to be. And that brings us to the next really wild point, the video.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So if life isn't this intentional project, if we're just these leftover fragments from something else's apps, well, maybe that explains all the suffering.
Suffering? You mean like pain and hardship?
Yeah, exactly. All the bad stuff that we all experience in life. Now we're used to hearing all these reasons for why there's suffering in the world, right?
Yeah, like it builds character, it tests us, it's the price we pay for happiness, all that stuff.
Exactly. But this video just throws those explanations out the window. It argues that suffering is actually the only certainty. It's not some side effect or a test. It's just baked right into existence itself.
So it's not like suffering has a purpose. It's just part of the fabric of reality.
Right. And if you connect this to the whole idea of life being this kind of unwinding, this echoing, it makes sense, doesn't it? Because if everything is slowly falling apart, like this gradual decline, then suffering isn't some external punishment or temporary setback. It's more like this built-in feature of the decline, this inevitable drift towards nothing.
So it's less about evolution and more about everything just disintegrating over time.
Exactly. And the video brings up this concept of entropy, which is basically the universe's tendency towards disorder.
Entropy. Right.
So from the moment we're born, actually even before that, everything is slowly but surely breaking. And the video really emphasizes that. It says every single cell in your body has one destination break.
Wow. It's a pretty bleak picture, isn't it?
It kind of is. And when you consider that, it really makes you question this whole idea of purpose,
Purpose, like the meaning of life.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the point of striving for anything if everything is ultimately just going to crumble anyway? And the video even goes so far as to say that maybe purpose itself trick.
The trick? What do you mean?
Like a defense mechanism, a story we tell ourselves to avoid facing the reality that we're just these little fragments of something that's already broken.
So purpose is just a way to comfort ourselves.
Yeah, to make sense of a meaningless existence. It's a pretty radical idea, right?
It definitely challenges some fundamental assumptions about why we're here.
For sure. And it goes even deeper. The video then dives into this concept of a cycle without meaning.
Cycle without meaning.
Yeah, like life is just this repetitive loop. Birth, growth, suffering, decline, death. And it's not just us individuals, it's empires, belief systems, everything. It all eventually crumbles back to dust.
So it's like history just keeps repeating itself with no real purpose.
Exactly. The same ultimate fate awaits every single one of us. And the video really highlights how much we resist this idea,
Yeah, I can see that. We cling to narratives, to the hope of something beyond.
We grasp at anything that gives us a sense of meaning, of significance, gods, ideologies, grand missions, anything to avoid accepting the obvious, as the video puts it.
The obvious being that there is no inherent meaning.
Right. But then it throws out this challenge. Like, what if we just let go of that need for a reason? What if we just accept existence as it is without all the embellishments and distractions?
So a kind of radical acceptance.
Exactly. And it really hits you with this line. The universe owes us nothing. Life doesn't owe us a debt. There's no epic tale where we're the heroes, no guaranteed happy ending, no heroic destiny waiting in the wings, just this moment.
Yeah.
And then it asks, can you live with that? Can you look at the void in the face without blinking?
That's a powerful question.
It really is. It forces you to confront what truly scares you about existence.
Yeah, it makes you think about all the ways we try to avoid facing the void.
Totally. And that ties directly into this whole obsession we have with happiness, doesn't it?
Happiness. How so?
Well, the video argues that our constant pursuit of happiness isn't really about experiencing pure joy. It's more about trying to outrun fear.
Fear. What kind of fear?
The fear of being forgotten, the fear of not accomplishing enough, the fear of realizing that maybe life just doesn't make sense.
So happiness is a way to escape those fears.
Right. It even goes so far as to call happiness, the way it's often sold to us, a distraction mechanism.
That's interesting. So we're chasing happiness to avoid facing uncomfortable truths about existence.
Exactly. But then the video takes this really unexpected turn. It introduces this concept of absolute freedom in meaninglessness.
Freedom in meaninglessness. That sounds paradoxical.
It does, right.
Yeah.
But it argues that when you truly accept that nothing inherently matters, something profound shifts within you. You stop living for some future reward or dwelling on past mistakes, and you start to see life as this fleeting coincidence, this incredible temporary blip.
So by letting go of meaning, we actually gain freedom.
Yeah. It's this weird paradox, and the video makes it clear that this isn't about nihilism or just giving up. It's about recognizing that you don't need some cosmic stamp of approval for your existence or your choices. It's freedom from all those shoulds and expectations, from the weight of legacy and imposed purpose.
So it's about breaking free from external pressures and expectations.
Exactly. It's about defining your own meaning, your own purpose, if you even want one.
It's a pretty empowering idea.
It really is. And that leads to this really poignant point the video makes about the tragedy of an unlived life.
The tragedy of an unlived life.
Yeah, it contrasts our constant striving for a future that may never come with the idea that the real tragedy is never truly embracing the present moment, because the only thing we truly possess is now.
So the focus shifts from what's my purpose
Yeah,
to how do I want to experience this moment?
exactly. And that's a really powerful shift in perspective, don't you think?
It definitely makes you reconsider your priorities.
Absolutely. But the video also acknowledges how difficult this shift can be. It talks about the inertia of centuries of conditioning.
Meaning we're so used to seeking meaning that it's hard to imagine life without it.
Right. It's like it's in our DNA to search for purpose. But then the video throws out this radical suggestion. What if this obsession with meaning is actually the root cause of a lot of our suffering?
So maybe our search for meaning is actually what's causing us pain.
It's a pretty mind-blowing idea, right? But then it offers these little glimpses of what true freedom might actually feel like those moments when your thoughts just stop.
What kind of moments?
Like feeling the wind on your face, being in an unfamiliar place, bursting into laughter for no reason, those pure moments where there's no story running in your head, no judgment, no expectation, just pure experience.
So those are the moments when we're truly free.
Yeah, the video suggests that maybe those are the only truly authentic moments because everything else is filtered through the narrative.
So it's about experiencing life without the filter of our thoughts and judgment.
Right. And that brings us to this really interesting reframing of the void. Instead of seeing it as this terrifying emptiness, the video suggests it's actually a blank canvas.
A blank canvas.
Yeah. The absence of inherent meaning isn't a punishment, it's an opportunity, a chance to create your own personal meaning, whatever that looks like.
So the void becomes a space for creation rather than nothingness.
Exactly. And the video addresses this common concern, like, if you accept that there's no inherent meaning, won't you just become apathetic?
Yeah, that's a worry a lot of people have.
But the video argues the opposite. It says that this acceptance can actually liberate you from external expectations and give you the power to define your own life.
So it's about taking responsibility for creating your own meaning.
Exactly. And that leads to this really fascinating paradox that the video calls the Great Paradox.
Okay, what the paradox?
Well, it argues that when you truly let go of the need to find meaning in everything, when you accept the lack of a grand cosmic plan, you actually become free.
Free from fear.
Yeah, because if nothing ultimately matters, then what do you really have to? The fear of failure, disappointment, not living up to expectation, it all starts away.
So by embracing the meaninglessness, we actually free ourselves from fear.
Exactly. It's like this counterintuitive truth. And the video suggests that this is the key to truly living without fear.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
It really is. And it all boils down to this final, really challenging question that the video poses. What are you going to do with the little time you have?
Wow, that's a question that really makes you stop.
It really does. It forces you to confront your own mortality and the choices you make in the face.
So it's a call to action to make the most of our limited time.
Exactly. And to do it on our own terms without being weighed down by the search for meaning or the fear of failure.
It's a pretty profound message.
It really is. So to kind of sum up this deep dive into some pretty heavy territory, the YouTube video we explored presented this radical perspective. Life might just be a cosmic error, devoid of inherent purpose and constantly moving towards the inevitable dissolution of everything.
It's a lot to take in, that's for sure.
Definitely. But even though it might be unsettling, the video's core message seems to point towards a profound kind of freedom that comes from accepting the lack of preordained meaning. It's about shifting our focus to the power of the present moment and experiencing it authentically without the burden of external expectations or the desperate search for purpose.
And maybe as a final thought for our listeners, if external purpose is just a story we tell ourselves, what does it truly mean to live a meaningful life? What possibilities open up when we confront the fear of meaninglessness head on? Take some time to reflect on those moments when you felt truly free. What do those moments reveal about your own values and your own sense of meaning in this vast and indifferent universe?
Really makes you think, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Thanks for diving into this with me. It's been a thought-provoking journey.
You're welcome. Always happy to explore these big questions.
To everyone listening, thanks for joining us.
And until next time, keep questioning and keep exploring.
See you in the void.
Right on.